Today's video is brought to you by the novel 9/10.
Cool. Greenwave TV in the house. Chris Green here, interrupting my own broadcast. Great to be back on the live show. I'm about to put out some tweets, get it out to Facebook, etc., YouTube. Please do join us. I'll be opening up the call lines. I've got a few videos here in post-production now. We had a video out from Topher Morrison, AMTV News, earlier this morning, titled North Korea Threatens America with Nukes. We were working around a couple audio issues with that video, so apologize. It was a little choppy, but we're doing our best here. I always like to kind of joke and remind you, I mean, this is what grassroots looks like. This isn't CNN with a multi-million-dollar budget. This is grassroots truth media. I have a great show planned today. You know, I've got a lot on my mind. In fact, that's what I'm clipping together with this latest video is, you know, North Korea is making some pretty big threats. Pretty big threats. In fact, that's the title of the video we put out this morning. North Korea threatens America with nukes. Sounds scary, doesn't it? I mean, doesn't it kind of just like get your panties in a bunch? You're just like, oh, wow, like Kim Jong-un, you going to come and bomb us? You know, I'm being serious, too. I mean, what are his plans? What are the plans? I mean, is he going to take out an American city? Are these missiles, you know, is the target Washington, D.C.? Is it New York? You know, who is he going to bomb and when and why? And I hear a lot of, you know, what we do know for sure is that the rhetoric from North Korea is up a notch. But my question is, where is this rhetoric coming from? Is this actually coming from North Korea, or is this perhaps the United States and our propaganda machine, our massive mainstream media propaganda machine? Are they picking up their rhetoric? Is there a reason that they want Americans to buy into the idea, the very idea that Kim Jong-un is a loose cannon about to destroy America? Take a look at what Kim Jong-un is about to do. He's going to hit that red button, pull the trigger. I mean, I can just see George W. Bush right now telling us about weapons of mass destruction. And, you know, the reason why we got to go kill the Easter Bunny, which was Osama bin Laden. Again, Osama bin Laden, all CIA-da, no different from Santa Claus or Kermit the Frog or Gumby or Alf or any of these other characters. In fact, I'm not even convinced Osama bin Laden ever existed. I'm not sure, and I'm not convinced Al-Qaeda exists. I am convinced, however, that all CIA does. I am convinced of that, just like I am convinced, having worked within Wall Street during the 2008 financial crash and crisis, I know that that was an inside job. I know that that was an inside job. Why? Because I was there. I saw how the American people were bent over so that, you know, people like President Barack Obama, his administration, the Bushes, and these people could continue the tyranny into infinity, steal, rob, and rape the American public, which is still going on to this very day. And it's not just Americans getting a good raping. This has happened all over the world. I mean, we see what's happening in Europe. Excuse me. We see what's happening in Europe. We see what's happening in Cyprus. 40% haircuts have now turned into 60% haircuts to 100% haircuts for one of Cyprus's banks. This is absolutely unbelievable, and it is insane. So a lot in the news, and what does North Korea have planned? And you have to bear with me today. I got a little bit of a cough that I can't get rid of, so I'm going to try not to interrupt the broadcast today. If I don't have to. But this is what grassroots radio is all about. Let me take a little bit of water here. So we have a lot in the news today, and there's some very big reports. The UN goes for guns, as well as the U.S. This has been front page news. UN passes sweeping international arms regulation, viewed by some as Second Amendment override. The United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday signed off on a sweeping, first-of-its-kind treaty to regulate the international arms trade, brushing aside worries from U.S. gun rights advocates that the pact could lead to a national firearms registry and disrupt the American gun market. The long-debated UN Arms Trade Treaty, otherwise referred to as ATT, requires countries to regulate and control the export of weaponry such as battle tanks, combat vehicles, and aircraft and attack helicopters, as well as parts and ammunition for such weapons. It also provides that signatories will not violate arms embargoes, international treaties regarding illicit trafficking, or sell weaponry to countries for genocide, crimes against humanity, or other war crimes. Now, it goes on to say here that with the Obama administration supporting the final treaty draft, the General Assembly vote was 154-3, with 23 abstentions. Iran, Syria, and North Korea voted against it. And of course, these people are our friends. You know, Iran loves us. They really loved First Lady Michelle Obama and her introduction of the Oscar. Remember, she came on the Oscars, and she was, all the rage about the film Argo, which won an Oscar, and it's just a propaganda film for the United States. Even though it was a good film, just a propaganda film to, of course, demonize Iran, demonize this part of the world before the invasion. I am working very hard to deliver this broadcast today, as you can tell, because my throat is killing me, and I'm hoping not to break into a full frontal coughing attack. Who knows, maybe I've been poisoned by the regime. They probably want me dead, because, again, you can't come out with the truth, and you can't share this information with the viewing public. It puts your entire life at risk. Now, of course, you can go out there and become a part of the bullshit regime. I could go work for a number of mainstream media organizations. Well, I don't know about now, but I could have started that way, and I could have read and been the best freaking teleprompter reader out there. Hey, what am I supposed to read today, Bob? Well, here you go, Christopher. Just read those lines, and I'd be, speaking very highly of the administration right now, like Obama's doing everything in his power to save the American children from the tyranny of guns. And then I'd go on to say that the U.S. Constitution is just an outdated, archaic document. It's so great to be a Democrat. It's so great to be a scathing liberal. I'm really counting on my pension, Obama. Can't wait to get that Social Security check. All those government employees out there, many people that I know, that's one reason. I mean, they're liberal as heck. Oh, we're liberals. Those conservatives, Christopher, are gun nuts. They're gun crazies. Religious right-wing insane asylum, is what they'll tell me. And they'll just sit there like, oh, I'm really looking forward to that government check I'm going to get in the future. I can't wait. I can't wait to see the look of shock and awe on their faces when they don't get what they think is coming to them. When they get clipped 50, 60, 70, 80, 100%. It's like, Obama will come on TV, and of course, it won't be his fault. There'll be no accountability. He'll blame it on, 15 presidents that are, prior to him. It'll be another person's problem, but it'll be a condition of saving the U.S. economy. The only way to save America is to rape all of you. Yeah, that's right. The only way that we can save ourselves from financial Armageddon. Armageddon. It's like a church preacher. Just Armageddon is to bail out those banks, bend you over, and drive the baseball bat straight into your ass, is what they say. And the liberals are like, oh, yes, Obama, that sounds like a wonderful idea. Republicans are like, well, shit, at least lube it first. Because we catch the drift. We realize what's coming our way. So, I mean, this is just a full frontal attack. This is full stage tyranny. There is no other way around it. But again, all the liberals I talk to, there is no accountability. I mean, they'll tell me I was having conversations over the Easter holiday break with a few people that are scathing liberals. And it's like, Christopher, these people are just people. And, there is no accountability, really. These people are just trying to provide for their family. I mean, who knows why the financial system is so screwed up? Who knows why we have all these problems? Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? No accountability? You gotta be honestly shitting me, America. No accountability. No accountability is what these people say. It's always the blame game. It's always somebody else's fault. I'm a black and white, simple kind of guy. Black and white. Black and white. You vote for bank bailouts. You vote or implement policies to rape me or steal from me. It's the equivalent of coming up and showing up at my property and saying, hey, buddy, I'm going to take a bunch of shit that's yours. How do you feel about that? And you know what? There's a reason why we have the Second Amendment and the right to self-defense, because most Americans would have a tendency to agree with me that if an armed robber shows up at your house, threatens to rape your children, your wife, your daughters, etc., and then steal shit out of your house, they're going to meet fire with fire. They're going to meet you and your son or your younger, older son. You guys are going to be holding shotguns, and you're going to be firing straight into the faces of these criminals. That's the hardcore reality. And you see, these criminals are no different from the regular thugs on the street today. It's no different what President Barack Obama and these politicians are doing. There is no difference between showing up at your house, threatening to rape all of your children, male and female, and steal from you. There is no other, and there is no difference. But, of course, they're going to flower it up. They're going to fluff it up. They're going to make it all sexy, give it its sex appeal. They're going to, take away any accountability, and Obama's going to woo you. He's going to woo you just like a rapist woos his victim. When you're not looking, he's going to put one of those little pills. I forget what those are called. Don't know what they're called, but, slip them into your drink. A roofie. That's what I'm thinking of. They're going to roofie you when you're not looking, right when you turn your head. And then they're going to rape you. Liberal, Democrat, conservative, Republican alike. There is no difference. They're there to rape you. That's what rapists do. It's about power. It's about control. And you got to remember, too, and you got to remind yourself constantly that these people are elitists. These are the elitist scumbags that run the world today, and they think of themselves as kings and queens. I guarantee Obama looks at himself in the mirror, and he probably can't look at himself directly in the eye, because if he did, he'd see Satan, just literally, he'd see the Antichrist staring right back at him. But he adjusts his tie, kind of winks at himself a little bit and goes, yeah. These are very much the aristocrats. These are those scumbags in the modern era, and they just kind of, wipe their sleeves off, make them real clean, have their servants all around them, 100 people working for them at a time, probably wipe their ass with dollar bills. I can picture Ben Bernanke taking his morning dump, before he, walks into the Federal Reserve or does whatever he does, just, a nice big roll of funny money. He uses to wipe himself and just feels great about it. Honestly, Bernie Madoff is a good guy compared to these people. Bernie Madoff is like, hey, man, you're just kind of a petty white-collar crime guy compared to these people, compared to the Bushes, compared to the Obamas, compared to the Clintons, compared to all these people. And you know what? It's gotten to the point where I realize it's not all bad apples. Not everybody's a bad apple in Washington, D.C., not everybody's a bad apple on Wall Street, but I'll tell you, a great majority of them, as it stands today, are a good majority of them. I mean, we need a cleaning of house. That is a very fundamental truth that I can't beat the bush around. So this is absolutely incredible. I'm working my butt off today, trying to not break into some rampant cough attack where a lung comes out of my, body cavity and sprays itself all over the monitor here. As you can tell, I'm struggling a little bit today to do my job in the business of truth, in the business of liberty, in the business of just getting out information to the public. Pretty amazing stuff. So the UN is clearly coming after the guns. I was also reading, and again, it's not necessarily that North Korea that I'm as concerned about necessarily what North Korea is telling us or necessarily what North Korea is doing. What I'm concerned about is what is China doing? China's mobilizing around Korea now. What are those people doing? What are those billion-plus people doing? Remember, it was the United States that nuked Nagasaki and Hiroshima that ended World War II. It was the United States that decimated a good part of Europe during the war. There's a reason we've been able to leverage ourselves into infinity, drop interest rates to zero, and reap the benefits of leaving the rest of the world in shambles. And that's not an anti-American thing to say. That's not to overly critique or be a critic of why the U.S. may have been involved in these wars in the first place. It's not to say that there weren't some very good reasons that we were involved. Well, let's face facts. The American people have been an arrogant bunch of sheep for many years, and now we are about to have to pay the piper, not only financially, but the rest of the world is growing stronger, a lot stronger than us, economically especially. Just take a look at China, take a look at India, take a look at Russia, and guess what? Yep, you guessed it correct. These countries hate us. They hate the United States. They would want nothing better to watch us honestly just fall into a pile of ruins, is pretty much what these countries would like to see. And quite frankly, from their perspective, you cannot blame them. You cannot blame them. As long as we have these politicians and as long as we have these people in power, they're already driving us. Debt and credit expansion and real estate prices quadrupling overnight. Yeah, quick money, fast money. Who cares if it destroys everything? Who cares if 90% of the American people die? We want it all. We want it all. Destroy America. Destroy America, is what these people say. I need all of you to help me out today. A great way you can do that is give me a call, because I don't know how long my voice is going to last over the 2-hour live show. I'm battling some kind of cold, some kind of chest issue. Not quite sure what it is. Give us a buzz. I'd love to hear from you, hear what's on your mind. I mean, hey, this would be great. Open up the discussion today. There's got to be a lot on your minds. I mean, I can't honestly put this in people's faces any harder than I do it on a daily basis. Let's see. Let's go down the list here. Civil War. We've got states on the verge of secession. States like Texas asking for their gold back, requesting it probably soon by force, petitioning to peacefully secede. We have the Department of Homeland Security arming up, preparing to kill Americans. We have war on the horizon, war drums, so they're beating that drum hard right now. North Korea, China, who knows, what else is, in the pipeline. Nothing big, nothing to worry about. Again, just watch your American Idol and do what you do, and don't think too hard, America. Keep taking the constant mind-numbing medication. Get out your bottle of whiskey or whatever it is you do to medicate yourself so you don't have to think about these things, or watch your favorite television show. That'll help things, Just don't deal with it. Don't deal with your problems. That's always a good way to do it. Hey, should we address the debt? Heck no. Let's not do that. Let's take on another few $1 trillion. Let's blow this debt clock out of the water. Heck, 17 trillion, why not 27 trillion, 57 trillion, 100 trillion, a gazillion, bajillion, quadrillion, badillion? Why don't we just blow it out so big that literally when the thing pops, it just destroys the entire planet, and we all burn in an inferno? We'll just create our own hell here on Earth. In addition to that, let's wear those Google glasses. That sounds awesome. Let's put those on and create a surveillance state ourselves. Let's let the federal government take a sneak peek and literally live with us during our most intimate parts of our life. You can wear your Google glasses while you're taking a shit early in the morning. Like, hey, Google, check it out. Check it out. Isn't this cool? I'm taking a dump. And then you'll say, share on Facebook, Google Glass, and, Siri or whoever it is will answer and share it. Like, hey, Christopher Green's taking a dump. Isn't that fantastic? And then it'll service me an ad for toilet paper. Like, oh, shit, next time you're taking a dump, buy XYZ toilet paper. It's good on the bum. So again, nothing to worry about. Keep the distractions running high. We don't want the American people to really think too hard. Let's keep them on a low-level drip, a very Kim Kardashian-esque thought process. Just stare at the butt, stare at her beautiful ass, and you know what? Don't think too hard. It's all about the dollar signs, free love, sex, and war, baby. Rock and roll. And we've got some great people leading the charge. President Barack Obama, his gigantic, massive hope and change effort. Just incredible what he's done. It is incredible the way he's brought our country together. Oh, just wonderful. Makes me just, brings tears to my eyes. Brings tears to my eyes. He took a country that was just so racially and politically divided, and he brought us all together. Yeah, like that's really happened. Let's go to some calls here. Again, help me out in today's show. I want to hear from you. Comments, questions, anything that's on your mind, really. Let's keep today an open forum. I'm going to go to a 254 area code, 254 first. Hi, you're on the air. What's on your mind?
Hey, Chris Green, how's it going? This is Show Me Baby from YouTube.
Oh, hey, great to have you on.
I was just calling in because you said on Facebook to call the show, and I love your YouTube channels, and I'm always posting your videos, man. Great stuff.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Anything in particular on your mind? I mean, we've got tons of things that we've been discussing the past few weeks. I've been kind of ranting and raving a little bit here on the show. Anything you like to add?
You know what drives me nuts is watching this baseball opening day yesterday, where they're having everybody take moments of silence for the Sandy Hook victims. It's almost like they're writing this thing just like they did 9/11. And every time somebody's going to come out with guns or talk about defending themselves, Sandy Hook is going to be the 9/11 of patriots and guns in this country.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, hey, after Sandy Hook, we got to light that Constitution on fire. I mean, obviously, we don't want another child dying. It's interesting to think about, though, how many children die each year in car accidents? And I actually don't know that figure, but I just have a sneaking suspicion it's massive. Massive. But, no one's attacking General Motors. President...
How many kids die every year from vaccines or from fluoridated water? I mean, half of this stuff's being done. You got Bill Gates out there saying in public that carbon equals people, special services, and energy, and we need to get rid of carbon. And these people in public, like, even with the gun issue, they're standing in their moment of silence at these baseball games, listening and being zombified by these people.
Yeah, well, it is very much a zombification, of our society. And hey, what people need to understand is that this has been the agenda from the very beginning. I mean, it's not just Sandy Hook. Whether or not it was manufactured or not really doesn't matter. We just know that they're scapegoating it. They're going to use it to, rape us and honestly get rid of guns in America. Because, look, the regular people, John and Jane, regular person, shouldn't have guns. Why would the elites, why would the king of the United States want you and I to have a gun? I mean, that's dangerous. He can't implement his fascism if we're all armed. I mean, some of us might actually do something, is what these people are thinking.
What a lot of people don't understand is this New World Order is actually an old world order way of life. And they're saying that for protection and security that we don't have the ability or the right to do this, but they are going to have guns themselves. Just today, they ratified the UN Treaty for small arms. And they're going to start going through and implementing this in America. I swear to God they are, just like they have with Agenda 21 and other things. And Obama's probably going to write a presidential directive instead of even going through the Senate to have it ratified here in America.
Mm-hmm.
People are going along with it. Just look at Colorado, New York, and Connecticut right now.
I mean, honestly, the people, a good majority will go along with anything. I mean, if the president came on TV and said, look, we're all, I recommend everybody goes and commits group suicide. before the next election, honestly, 70% of America would go out and do it. Be like, look, we think it's in the nation's interest. We agree with what Obama is saying, and let's all go jump off a bridge together. I mean,
I think people actually getting to the point where they're starting to believe how bad they are because they're being told that.
Yeah. It's funny, and I'm being a little bit facetious, but in another respect, I'm not, because I really feel like at times, I mean, a good majority are really that dumb. And they can be sold anything, propagandized anything, and they'll just honestly give it to me. I mean, they actually want it. It's like, hey, please take away my guns. Please let me fight your war. Of course I want to go fight and die on the behalf of George W. Bush and President Barack Obama. Doesn't that sound like a good idea? Of course, none of these people are doing any. None of these people are fighting in any of these wars. They're in the safety of their homes, the safety of their Washington dorm room or wherever it might be.
Well, we see that with the Homeland Security SS-style takeover that's going through in America. And I think a lot of people don't realize that Homeland Security, and I've been saying this for a long time, Homeland Security is the continuity of government. After 9/11, the continuity of government was put into place in Homeland Security. And this proves and shows that people will go along with it, just like they did following Mao Zedong or Pol Pot or Stalin. There's people in our country that are brainwashed enough that are following these things. I wonder when the Civil War that you and I keep talking about and other people really starts to go hot, because we're seeing the battlement places taken. If you know about war at all, you realize that it's like a chess game, and these pieces have to be put into place before things can be implemented.
Yeah, well, I think it's already started. I mean, it's not like anyone wants violence or conflict, or that's always a last resort. But I mean, that's what the states are gearing up for. You probably have been, filled in and following the news. I mean, states like Texas are asking straight up, we want our gold back. We want you to move our $1 billion worth of gold bullion from the New York Federal Reserve, and we want it on here. We want it on deposit in physical form in our state. So, I mean, we're seeing an attempt to move these chess pieces around. Do I think Texas is going to get their gold? Probably not. So, I mean, we see the chess pieces already moving today. And, even the great state of Texas and a lot of their politicians, they're going to beat around the bush politically. They're not going to outright say it like, look, we're on the verge of secession. They're just going to kind of move things around until it reaches a boiling point. And then at some point we'll have a trigger event. And that's not something I can predict or anybody can really predict. But when it happens, we'll all know it when we see it. And that'll escalate the next stages. And I think a common misconception is people always, we study history. And, of course, history does repeat itself. But as Mark Twain says, it doesn't necessarily always repeat itself in the exact same way, but it rhymes. So it's not that we're going to have the exact same kind of North versus South Civil War that we had, that made up a good portion of this country's history. It could be, a lot more technologically involved. It could be, I think there'll be physical conflict, but it's going to be the same and also different in a lot of respects. I don't see how things can honestly, quite frankly, get a whole lot worse here. The only final thing to drop is just the eventual dissolution of the dollar and a complete crumbling of our financial system. When that happens is anybody's guess, but what we do know is that it's operating on quicksand, thin air, and just like what we see happening in Europe, countries like Cyprus, this is all coming to the United States.
And I'll tell you, Christopher, there's I follow a lot of the blogs from some of these AmeriCorps idiots that go and sign up for AmeriCorps and Obamacare or Obamacare, and they were registering people at the hurricane in New Jersey, and they've now been being sent out to different places in the country. And if you go and look for them, there are AmeriCorps
Freedom to Fascism. Have you ever seen that? And
no,
then
I haven't.
Alex Jones. Oh, yeah, it's definitely something to watch. Well, anyway, Alex Jones was going back because Aaron Russo is dead now, and with an interview he had. But anyway, he talks about the Federal Reserve and how basically that's the root of all America's problems, or at least the top one. And I just wanted to know, because you know a lot about finances and stuff like that, they say that all the income that comes in from the IRS, income tax, basically goes to just pay the interest on the money we get from the Federal Reserve. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it put in those terms before. I mean, we can explain it a number of ways. What we know for certain is that really the Federal Reserve, it is the root of our problems. It is the root of all evil. It is a system based on nothing. And that's literally how we're operating our financial system. So, it's not going to be a surprise, just like what we experienced in the 1930s. Thousands, if not millions of Americans, they all show up at the bank at once, demanding their deposits. Well, this shouldn't be a shocker to those of you informed. Guess what? Bank doesn't have it. Doesn't have it on hand. For every dollar that you deposit into the bank, they loan out 10. Those $10 go to another 10 banks. They lend out 10 on those 10, et cetera, into infinity. So, I mean, it really is just a Ponzi scheme. The question is, when do we have that shock moment? And I'm not talking about the 2008 shock that, the church picnic experience. And I'm not disregarding the fact that millions of people were sent into foreclosure, bankruptcy, lost everything. Many retirees now have to go back to work. Their IRAs, retirement accounts, pensions, absolutely decimated by these people. And then to boot, they bail them out. Now we got to pay taxes on all this stuff and, bear the albatross of bailouts and, future generations into infinity. The next shock will pale in comparison to what we saw in 2008. And in my opinion, will be the end of the U.S. dollar. It will be the end of our financial system. But we got to keep in mind, they've got a new one very conveniently prepared. This is all ready. They're going to position it on a silver platter. It's going to be one of these diversified currencies, whether or not it's this global currency or whatever thingamajig you want to call it. They're ready. I mean, they've got this stuff in place. But before they do that, they're going to take everything from you. So they'll make sure that they loot the entire system, which they've pretty much already done. I mean, how much more money can they really steal? That's what I think is going to happen next.
Yeah. Well, if the Federal Reserve is such a big problem, it seems like people know this. Do you think it's possible if everyone just called our senators, representatives to say, let's get rid of it, would anything happen, or... Oh, we're going to break?
Yeah, hold on there, and I'll bring you right back on, and I'll answer that question right after the break. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, I'm Christopher Green. This is Green Wave Radio Live. We are taking your calls from around the world. I'm going to go back to our caller. As a reminder, our call-in line, direct access to our show. You got a comment, question, suggestion, anything, really. You just want to join in on the fun. Of course, I sometimes don't know how fun this is with the hard-hitting issues that we're discussing and talking about, but the number is 218-339-8525, 218-339-8525. Help us get the word and the message of liberty out to the public. So if you could call her, if you're still there with us, it looks like that you are, please re-ask that question, and then I'll get to it for those of our listeners just tuning in.
Okay. Yeah, basically had to do with the Federal Reserve and seeing if we call our, senators and congressmen to have them, get rid of the Federal Reserve, if it's even possible. And I just wanted to, I don't know if people know that, what's his name, John F. Kennedy, he put an executive order for the U.S. Treasury to start printing money, and then he was assassinated 3 months later. So there's a lot of stuff on the Internet. You can look into that. That's one of the theories why. So I think that's why some politicians keep their mouths shut. It could be, possibly. So I just wanted to know, do you think that's a possible solution to ending the Federal Reserve?
Well, I don't know if it's a solution to ending the Federal Reserve. It's better than doing nothing. Do I think a phone call is, or even an urging, these politicians to do something is really going to affect that kind of change? Quite frankly, no. Honestly, the only real solution that I can see outside of just things, dissolving themselves or deteriorating to a point where there's just this massive shock or collapse and, we're in this Mad Max scenario, is for the people just to honestly, if you don't like the current system and you don't want to take part of it anymore, and you don't want to contribute to this funny money or the Federal Reserve or the Ponzi scheme that is our system today, then the simple solution to it is then don't. I can't tell you how many people I'll come across who, are like-minded and they say they want all these things, and then I'll see them pull out a Bank of America debit card, buy a cup of coffee with it. Look, if you want to change the way the system works and force that change, then you just don't contribute to it. And so we can take very simple steps like ending our relationships with the too big to fail big banks. That's step number one. But you can take that to another level. A lot of people, I've met people that, go to the extreme. They've just stopped paying taxes. They've stopped contributing to everything. Or they'll put, they're going to put their tax statements on extension. Imagine if, all of America en masse, did that this upcoming April 15th. Government can't get a hold of any funding. There's a number of ways, but I really think that non-participation, and I'm not recommending anything in particular, but non-participation to me is the most effective solution to the problem. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you. I feel like Texas, the whole state is doing that with they want their gold back. And then I don't know if you saw that Arizona, I think they're voting on the bill today to, I guess, legalize gold and silver as legal tender. Mm-hmm. So it seems like the states are getting on board, which is, a good thing. It makes me feel a little bit better. Just like when people say, they talk about the Civil War. I think it's, and I think you've said it before. It's already started. It's just a war of the minds, like you say, and I'm just happy that states are starting to do something. So
yeah, and I think a lot of us are. I mean, I certainly am too, and I think it's, these are very important precedents that, for example, Texas are setting, saying, look, we want our gold back. Because, you got to think about it from the perspective of, okay, where are we at a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? I mean, let's say in the not-too-distant future we have another systemic shock like '08. Let's say it's equivalent or worse. And then Texas is like, look, we want our gold back. And by the way, we're also seceding from the Union because we choose to do so, which is their, that was a condition of them entering the Union in the first place. How do you think the Federal Reserve is going to respond to that? Do you think they're going to say, well, this gold is rightfully yours, so we're going to give it to you? Or do you think they're going to hold on to that deposit themselves and say, okay, this is an act of war against the Union, you don't get your gold back? And, I don't even have to really say what the answer is. So I see states like Texas and others. So, we're not the only people thinking, oh my God, this is where it's headed. It's pretty wild to be living through this history, that's for sure.
I lost you for like a minute there. the phone cut out, but I caught the end of it.
Okay, I did.
Oh, so a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, and I urge your listeners and you to go find, it's on YouTube, the Aaron Russo's Freedom to Fascism, and then there's another video with Alex Jones going back to an old interview, and it talks a lot about, taxes and opting out and all this stuff. It's really good video. And I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think I've actually seen maybe parts of it. How long is the film Freedom to Fascism? Do you remember offhand?
I feel like it's a full length documentary, so it might be like an hour and a half, give or take. Starts off, I think, a little slow, if I remember correctly, but it's good. So
I'm gonna definitely have to watch that. I've heard of it, and it's funny sometimes too. I've noticed on YouTube, what a lot of the videos that seem to get people's attention. People have an attention span of like 5 minutes. And I always find it a shame some of these larger, more in-depth documentaries don't get some of the viewership that I would hope for them to get. Because people are like, oh, it's an hour long? Oh, I can't watch that. So I'll have to do a little review on that myself and let our viewers know what they think. Anything else? Questions, comments, anything else you wanted to add?
I do a lot of research. I did some more research yesterday, and it was about ammo shortages. And a guy who's in the industry called, and he said basically the government, buying the billions of rounds of ammunition, they're basically putting in their bids. So when they want, they can just say, hey, I want my ammo now. So they're just doing it to control everything. And they also went into how basically there's only a limited amount of brass and gunpowder and everything in the world. So this is probably their way of trying to control it, which people have reported on. Where would I send you some videos and stuff for you to watch?
Yeah, great question. Well, you can always send it via YouTube. I think that there's an option to like send a video, so I'll see those in my inbox. But a great way, honestly, to just get in contact directly with us, because we get a lot of messages on YouTube, so I don't always get to all of them. But if you have something important that needs to be seen, or I'll have people send me videos that they've actually shot themselves, you can send it to tips, T-I-P-S, tips at amtvmedia.com. And if you go to our website and you send the tip, and you can see there's a little button on the side that says send tips, you can actually attach images, full-length video, and send it directly to us. So that's a great way, and it's all anonymous. You know, if you want to do it anonymously, you can. So that's a great way to get that to us.
All right. I guess that's about it for today.
Well, thanks for calling in and sharing your thoughts, and I'm glad to hear you're actually doing the research. So let us know if you find anything else worthwhile getting out to our listenership.
Oh, you know what? One other thing. I want to say that last show with the future governor of Nevada, with Vanderbeek, that was really good. It was inspiring. It's got me thinking about possibly running, although I don't know anything about it yet. But I'm going to start looking into it.
You should. I mean, honestly, if we really want to change things, the people need to take the bull by the horns. So I would say you don't have to know anything. I mean, obviously, you're going to have to find some more information out, but someone like yourself would be the perfect candidate. And I think that what we're going to see, and I think is exciting, we're going to see more and more people like Vanderbeek actually win and actually start to enter politics. And, hopefully we can change things from the inside, of this system, in addition to, affecting change through media and these other outlets and things that we're doing. So I would just encourage you that, hey, if you got a passion, you think you want to be a part of something, go for it. And, I'd love to talk to you about it. So.
And the great thing about that is he's not having to take money from corporations, so he doesn't owe them anything. So it's taking them out of the equation, which is probably why they were, pushing all this internet censoring last year and even this year. But because they're starting to see that, the power of the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for calling. Really appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break. We'll go through the second hour. Phone lines are open. I'm Christopher Green, Greenwave Radio, hard-hitting and in your face.